detention center in Texas, a U.S. Border Patrol agent escorts two little girls to a holding cell. They will live here for a few days with dozens of other migrant children. In a break from its predecessor, the Biden administration allowed journalists to record video inside a Texas detention center where unaccompanied children and migrant families are being held. Using night vision technology, a border agent took this video showing smugglers dropping a 5-year-old girl and her 3-year-old sister over a 4-meter-high border wall, separating Mexico from the United States. The smugglers left them and ran off into the night. During his first news conference as U.S. President, Joe Biden acknowledged that the issue of undocumented immigration has many complicated facets. He said only a few of the migrants are children.
All the children are coming across the border. Over 70% are either 16 or 17 years old. We're not talking about people ripping babies from mother's arms or little 3-year-olds standing on the border. Less than, I think it's 1.5% fall in the category of the very young.
Overcrowded moving forward.
But with the crisis growing, Biden called on the U.S. Secretary of Defense to make 5,000 beds available to unaccompanied migrant children in Texas.
So what we're doing is we're providing for the space, again, to be able to get these kids out of the Border Patrol facilities, which no child, no one should be in any longer than 72 hours. So we're building back up the capacity that should have been maintained and built upon, that Trump dismantled. It's going to take time.
Our world does not.
Biden appointed Vice President Kamala Harris to oversee what is among the most politically charged issues facing the United States: immigration. Around the time Biden was sworn in, thousands of Central American migrants were already heading to the United States. Many are coming from one of that region's poorest nations, Honduras.
There is a significant increase in the number of people coming to the border in the winter months of January, February, March. It happens every year.
Still, the president is keenly aware that many problems force Central Americans to leave their countries, including climate change. The U.S. and Central American governments are keeping a close eye on a severe drought that is devastating regional food supplies. A separate issue is brewing in the U.S. border state of Arizona. It affects people like 30-year-old Tony Valdovinos. He was born in Mexico and brought to the U.S. as a child. That makes him one of the so-called dreamers.
Americans have always loved our cheap labor and have to recognize that, we cannot be treated as, as this third-class citizen. Story reflects that.
Under the Obama administration, dreamers received deferred action on deportations and could get U.S. work permits. Former President Trump tried to do away with the policy known as DACA.
And so I think when it comes to dreamers and DACA, we are part of the economy. We are strengthening the economy. We are the ones that are moving this economy.
And kind of likewise,
Jessica Bolter is a policy analyst for the Washington, D.C.-based Migration Policy Institute. She says asylum for migrants fleeing violence is another policy Trump tried to dismantle.
It's going to be important to restructure the asylum system at the border so that people who do need protection, who are fleeing persecution, can be granted protection quickly.
While the United States grapples with immigration, tens of thousands of Central American migrants arrive each week in Mexico.
Central American migrants who decide to stay in Mexico are forced to compete with Mexicans for jobs that are increasingly difficult to find. Frank Contreras, CGTN, Mexico City.